Welcome to Get Green, Northwest Indiana, your home for lawn care solutions with Steve Daly. Each podcast, you'll learn the secret tips to growing healthy green grass and best practice solutions for watering, weed and feed, aeration, and mowing. Here are your hosts, Steve Daly and Jim Jano.
You're a little bit worried about people's lawns right now. What's going on?
Well, we're in severe drought conditions. Haven't really seen significant rain all spring.
And you're calling this drought or near drought.
No, it's drought.
Drought. Okay. It's drought. How do you arrive at what a drought is?
Well, I mean, it all comes down to soil moisture, and it takes so much for plants to survive each week, and we don't have any rain to supplement that. Now, when people look at plants, they think they're flowers, they're shrubs. They don't really concentrate on the lawn so much, so a lot of the time the lawn gets ignored.
You know, what's interesting is for years I was one of those guys that had to do it myself, and I was going to save money by doing the Scotch program and what have you. And then I found out that you could do it for the same price that I was buying it for, and it was amazing what I saw in the first year. But I think the biggest impact that I had was when you explained to me the significance of watering a lawn.
Well, I mean, a grass plant's 85% water. If it's not getting water, it's not going to do well. Plants reserve their water to the root system during dormancy. They turn yellow.
You just put out a blog on helping people know how to water, but let's talk a little bit about why they need to start watering right now.
Well, if we don't start watering now, if we go much longer, plants will die. We keep going in and out. We got a little bit of rain about a week and a half ago. Not enough. People didn't supplement behind it. People with irrigation, people who are watering are doing fine. It's a little bit of a struggle. You can still see the stress in the grass, but the people who are not watering at all, we're reaching critical points.
So now the typical Northwest Indiana homeowner, these homeowners, they a lot of them don't really understand how to water. Can you talk a little bit about watering and when there is enough? I always thought that an inch and a half of rain meant that you just had to have the equivalency of an inch and a half of rain that you'd measure in a cup, and you water it that much and you're done. But that's not true. And with the different soils that we have, doesn't that make it a little more complicated?
Yeah, with the different soils. I mean, with a sandy soil, you're going to water it maybe a half inch every third day or every other day. With a loamy soil, it's going to penetrate a little quicker. You can probably go just a regular watering, but you're going to do it an inch every 5 days. But the goal is to get an inch and a half per week.
Now, I got clay. You not only told me how often to water, you even told me what kind of sprinkler to buy, and that also was a game changer because it made it easier to hit everything and not have certain spots. But my front yard is different soil than my backyard, and you explaining this helped me have a healthy yard, which I never had in my backyard before, probably because I never watered it enough.
Right. Well,
so how do you know when you water enough?
Most people want to move that hose all the time. You know, they'll go out there and they'll water an area for a half an hour, move it, water it for another half an hour. These light increments of watering basically shallow the root system. They bring the root system closer to the surface. The water that you're providing in those kind of situations basically make the roots seek the water. They'll move up in the soil profile.
That keeps the roots high where they're more susceptible to heat damage and
correct and insect disease issues, things like that. If a plant is weaker, you're going to have more problems.
And you've said before that it's not that you're watering, it's how you water that matters.
Right. If you're watering it deeply, you're getting good soil depth, you're generally going to have a healthier lawn. Your root system will stay down in the soil. It'll have more protection against summer heat. It'll have more length to the plant. The more length there is to the plant, the more water available to it, the healthier it'll be.
So you also say that watering requirements are different than clay than it is in sand. Can you talk a little bit more about why that is?
Well, I mean, you think of the density of clay versus the density of sand. I mean, sand is a porous soil, so if you supply say, a half inch of water to a sandy soil, it'll penetrate, say, 6 inches. If you apply a half inch of rain to a clay soil, you'll be lucky to get 2 inches deep. So if you want to get depth, you have to water those differently.
And the key is to get it deep enough that you're allowing your roots to grow deep in the ground where and does that have anything to do with their ability to survive in the winter?
But yeah, the deeper the deeper a root system is, the better off it's going to be. As far as winter goes, a plant goes into dormancy, there isn't really a survival factor. I mean, the plant is doing things differently. We're not worried about the winter generally unless we have some weird phenomena. But the plant actually, when you feed in the fall, goes into storage. The plant reserves that, uses it carbohydrates the next spring in your upgrowth. Most people think that fertilizing a lawn heavily in the spring is a good idea. It's not. You want to use a balanced, be lower in nitrogen, kind of control the growth. The growth is already there in the spring. It's, Mother Nature forces that upgrowth. The harder the plant grows, the more the plant uses up the storage, the less likely it is to do well in the summer. So.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and this is very informative, and we hope that Northwest Indiana all benefits from your help, and happy green lawns for everybody. And thanks again for your time, Steve.
Thanks, Jano.
All right, talk to you later.
Have a great day.